On Wednesday, October 19th, 2022, Mid Lane Melee, the Midwest's biggest Super Smash Bros. Melee weekly tournament, was canceled. Aww. The event's venue had suddenly, at the last minute, been booked. To Chicago's head TOs, Tenacity and Oval, this came as a surprise.
It was just like a normal, Wednesday mid lane. It's the day of, I believe. It's the day of, we're prepping, we're seeding the tournament and things like that. And a couple hours before we're supposed to be there, we get a message from the venue. It's like, hey guys, sorry, the venue is booked today. And we're just like, what? Huh? Like, this has never happened before.
The venue had been booked by an esports team, Team Dignitas. And soon, images emerged showing just what Team Dignitas was cooking. One of Super Smash Bros. Melee's most enduring public figures, Hugs, was seen at this event playing Mario Kart and gallivanting with influencers, while Chicagoland Melee players were left out in the cold. For Mid Lane Melee's organizers, this was a painful sight to see.
The guy that runs the venue, the guy's like, oh, it's some sort of like esports company that came in and did this, and like is like doing some sort of photo shoot, promo event thing, and then he tells us it's Dignitas. Time passes. The guy that runs the venue, he messages us back, and is like, "Do you guys know who Hugs is?" Like, yeah. He's like, yeah. He says he plays Melee, and like, he's with this esports company. He's interested in like what mid lane is. I'm like, what? So, we just asked him more questions. We eventually find out that Hugs' esports company booked out mid lane, flew him from LA or something, wherever he lives, in Cali, flew him out from Cali to Chicago for one night on a Wednesday on the day of our local to book our venue for this. Like, Hugs didn't even play any Melee. He like played Mario Kart with some other influencer.
What's up?
I actually asked him about this at the Ludwig Smash Invitational. I was like, hey, I hear you don't support locals. I hear you don't like Melee.
Yeah, dude.
I hear that you shut down tournaments.
And he's like, listen, man, it wasn't my fault.
Yeah, he was like, I didn't know. He was like, yeah, they were saying how they host Melee tournaments here, and I was like, oh, that's so sick. What day do you do it? And the mid lane people were like, yeah, we actually shut it down this week for this event. And he was like, oh.
So I show up to this barcade, and then the guy who runs it, he goes, hey, so what game do you play? And I tell him Super Smash Bros. Melee. Then he goes, oh, damn, well, we actually host Melee locals here all the time, and really good players like Skurzo and Michael 41 Billion. Like, do you know those guys? They show up here. And then I go, oh, that's so sick. That's awesome. Yeah, I know those guys. So when do you host tournaments? And then he goes, oh, Wednesdays, today. We literally canceled today's because you guys were coming. I was like, oh shit, I am so sorry.
Hugs claims to have not known about mid lane, and given the fact that he is 86 years old, perhaps that is a believable claim. The man born Hugo Gonzales has not competed seriously in Melee since 2019. And in that time, his knowledge of the community has certainly lapsed.
That was absurd. That was terrible. CLM.
Sponsor?
I don't know. Is that not a city out here?
Still, Chicago's TOs aren't all convinced that Hugs didn't know what he was doing that fateful day.
My thought about that is, Hugs obviously knew that, mid lane hosted Melee weeklies on Wednesdays. He's in touch with the Chicago scene, and so he probably told Dignitas, hey, if it's going to be any day, you should make it Wednesday.
If the cancellation of mid lane was, as Oval alleges, intentional, what would motivate such cruel behavior from Hugo Gonzales? A possible motive could be found in Melee history. In 2019, Hugs was still riding a late career wave that had begun the prior year at Genesis 5, where he had beaten AMSA to make a top 8 finish. At 2019 Indiana Major Full Bloom 5, Hugs was the 9th seed, but he would fail to meet those expectations. Versus King of Chicago Kells, Hugs would lose a 3-1 set. After dispensing with the Chicago legend O'Reilly in the losers bracket, Hugo would then be knocked out of the bracket by Chicago's own Michael. Only 1 year later, Hugs would retire. What if somewhere deep down, a wound still festered in that Samus player's soul? A hatred of the Windy City. Whether his actions were due to ignorance or maliciousness, Chicago TOs say there is still time for Hugs86 to make things right.
I think the best thing for him to do is to come to Chicago, come to one of our events, and apologize in person. That's the only way to make it right, to be honest. Only way to make it right.
Oh, we got Skurzo hopping on comms.
Look who's walking up.
What are your thoughts on Hugo Hugs Gonzales?
Fuck him. He made mid lane cancel.
He didn't
And
know
he didn't
any better.
remember my name.